After Boy Thunder nearly killed the Joker, he insisted it was an accident. But Aqualad called him out, saying the only reason Joker was still alive was because he and Robin had physically held David back. Once again, Superman was deeply disappointed, reminding him for what felt like the 100th time that murder was never the answer. Moments later, Batman pulled Clark aside, warning him that David was too unpredictable. He wasn't learning from his mistakes, and they needed to take action. So Superman decided to do what he thought was necessary. With Robin's help, he brought David to the Fortress of Solitude and placed him inside a solar drain, a device that could strip away all of his powers. David pleaded with him to stop, saying he was nothing without his abilities. Clark believed it was for the best, or at least he did at first, but with his hand on the lever that would activate the machine, he couldn't go through with it, admitting that David's behavior was his own fault. Relieved, David realized he was getting another chance to prove himself. That's when things got strange. Somehow, every creature that was supposed to be contained in Superman's interstellar wildlife refuge was now loose inside the fortress. It had to be the key, searching for David's escape pod to gain access to the multiverse. David and Robin went after him while Superman focused on rounding up the animals. When they found Key, it quickly became clear that taking him down wouldn't be easy. He'd brought backup. His allies immediately gained the advantage. Superman tried to intervene but was temporarily depowered when Key opened a portal, sending him straight into the solar drain. That left Robin and David to step up. Working together, they outmaneuvered Ferline and Acid Master. Then, Bag of Bones launched a radioactive blast at David, but before it could hit, Superman shoved him out of the way, only to be slammed into a wall by Zebra Man right after. The sight of it enraged David, and in one explosive moment he unleashed a massive solar flare that wiped out every single one of them. With the villains neutralized, they turned their attention to Key, but he'd already reached David's escape pod. When David tried to stop him, Key simply said one word: freeze. Instantly, David's body locked up. The truth was chilling. Key had planted a mental trigger during a previous capture, a command that would paralyze David the moment it was spoken. Now, powerless to move, David was at Key's mercy, with a gun pointed right at him. And with Superman depowered, Clark couldn't help. David was seconds away from death until the Dark Knight came through at the last second, kicking Key square in the face. Batman then reset David's nervous system, breaking the paralysis. Freed, David knocked Key to the ground, declaring he didn't deserve to live, but this time, thanks to Superman's influence, he stopped short of killing him. Then came the twist. In the scuffle, Key had accidentally activated the escape pod, and because David shared the same vibrational frequency as the pod when it jumped to another universe, it dragged him along. Panic set in. Everyone scrambled to contact the Flash, hoping he could use David's vibrations to track him across the multiverse. But there was no answer. David gave his last goodbyes, apologizing to Clark for all the trouble he'd caused. Superman, heartbroken, told